Those that nope the FCK out of a relationship. What was your they are probably crazy red flag moment? After dating this girl for about a year, her parents surprised me with a contract stating I would propose to my GF within 3 months. I thought my GF would share my concern, but she actually thought I was being irrational for not signing. Nope the FCK out of that one and later blocked that entire family from my life in every way I could. Edit. Whoa. This blew up bigger than I thought it would. To answer a couple common questions. They were a white, non-religious family in America. Marriage proposal contracts are definitely not cultural here. No one I know has heard of this. The contract included a specific date by which I needed to propose with a diamond ring. There was nothing written in regards to what happened if I broke the contract, since they assumed I'd sign and propose without question or hesitation. After we broke up, my ex started a rumor at my college that I'm pregnant. Might as well just get knocked up since everyone already thinks I am. Then she stared at me expectantly. She wasn't joking. She thought I had to pay for everything when her friends tagged along. She told me a story about how she once had a stalker that would stand in her backyard and stare at her through her window at night and call her and tell her he liked her bra, the color of it, etc. It got weirder when she took me out to her backyard to show me the exact spot where he was standing, even though she claimed to never have seen him. She told me many other wild facts, that she thought it was this guy that went to school with us but she wouldn't tell me his name. That she got letters from him claiming he was in love with her. Things like that. But none of them added up and it was so completely obviously a lie. The final nail in the 2x4 was when I got a Facebook message from her mom on Facebook trying to convince me that her daughter was telling the truth when it was obviously her that got onto her mom's Facebook and sent me the message. I completely ended contact with her after that. Not even dating but going out on a few dates and over text message goes, hey, I just wanted you to know that I've had many past partners. I've probably slept with at least 30 guys. Now I don't judge and I don't care, so I replied with, hey, that's cool. It doesn't bother me. She flips and goes off, I don't give a FCK what you think. I wasn't asking permission from you. Why then do you bring it up? I don't give a FCK. Edit. By the way, we were 16 years old and still in high school at this point. I was 15. She told me I had to be okay with the fact that her and her 2 brothers sometimes FCK and have been doing so since they were little kids. Nope. I called her pretty. She did not like this. She got quite angry. Then tweeted something to the tune of every girl deserves to be called beautiful every day. Her complete inability to leave money in a checking account. She had a frightening compulsion to spend more than we had. I kept thinking that she would settle down once we had a few items for our apartment. After 6 or 7 years I finally realized we could never dig out of the debt we had and we broke up. I took $10,000 in credit card debt to pay off the guilt I felt for leaving her, and lived in a shack to save up money. Within a year or so I had paid off the bills and started watching my bank account grow and grow. It became a game for me and I still kept living like a pauper. By the time I met somebody else and proposed, I had so much money that my new wife yelled at me that it was not making interest in my checking account. She was right. But it still broke my heart to see my checking account game get reset. Oh. And we celebrated 17 years of marriage this year. She's a keeper. She bit me twice. Once on my arm and then on my ass. These were not fun. Love bites. We were in an argument and the crazy broad got violent. Took a chunk out of both places. I finally slapped her so she would release her jaw from my ass. She was shocked. She called the cops. They showed up and arrested her. I was the one bleeding after all. Hope she was convicted of aggravated assault. Come inside me. I want your babies. That was week 3 of the most insane month of my life. He yelled at me and accused me of cheating because he found another man's pubic hair on my toilet seat. It was dog hair. He still didn't believe me when I got the dog and compared its fur to the hair found on the toilet seat. I didn't wash a bowl in the sink before work. I said I went to do it but got distracted and I didn't. He decided to teach me a lesson by speeding the car up and then slamming the brakes on and stopped before hitting the car in front of us, stopped at the lights. Then turned to me and said I was going to smash into them. But I didn't. Yeah, he didn't last long after that. It was weird and looking back it didn't make sense what he said, but it scared the shit out of me at the time. Ex of 3 years started suggesting the idea of having a threesome. We lost our virginity together. So I figured she just wanted to branch out and have some new experiences in a respectful and mutually beneficial way. Nope. She just wanted to test my loyalty and got pissed at me for being interested in her suggestion. I dated a girl who was the second girl I had ever been with. I found out she was kind of nuts after she showed me that she liked to make her cat do backflips by physically flipping her poor cat upside down. So I stopped seeing her and I later found out she had posted stories about us on her online journal. None of which were true stories. Then I found out she was killed by an alligator in Florida because she wanted to go skinny dipping in a pond in the middle of the night. That ending though. After our third date he brought up getting married. When I told him I'm not against it, but I feel like I should date the person for a few years first, he didn't understand why I'd want to wait so long. Disney princesses don't wait that long. Why should you? I thanked her for advice that she had given me by texting thanks for the advice and she flipped the FCK out, asking me why I always have to be so sarcastic and passive aggressive. She could not believe that I legitimately thought it was thankful. Don't remember what it was anymore though. He thought the dog was in the crate and proceeded to throw the crate towards the sliding glass doors while screaming about me letting a pan soak in the sink after dinner. Dog was sitting next to me on the couch under a blanket. Packed our shit up and never looked back. All I can think of now is that you and the dog both packed your stuff up. We went to an amusement park and she demanded we rode the same ride 4 times in a row and would throw a fit anytime I suggested anything else. The line for that ride was over 2 hours each time and we basically waited in lines for the whole day. He wouldn't let me eat more food than him. In the end of our relationship he would measure my food every time I tried to eat. I hadn't been eating for 2 days because I was scared to make him angry and tried to make a meal and took 1 deciliter more than I was allowed and he flipped the FCK out. He was crazy at FCK but thought I was the crazy one. Edit. Last I hear from him, he still faked having Asperger to get money so he wouldn't have to work. Classy. Edit 2. Apparently he is a photographer with fake Asperger collecting welfare money now. Tried to run me over with my own car. In her mind it was my fault though. Told me she couldn't have a baby because something was wrong with her. I thought, oh well that sucks but whatever. Constantly asking me about baby related stuff and how she really wants a baby even though she told me she can't. Started to wonder what was up at this point. Went on holiday for a month. Came back and was still dating her and talking constantly but she had blocked me on Facebook. Getting massive red flags at this point. Started acting altogether really weird. Asked her what was going on and that I just wanted her to be honest. Turned out she was pregnant and is now a single mother. Think I dodged a bullet. More like you dodged a cannonball. She blocked you on FB so she could lay the groundwork for your introduction as the father of that child. My ex said if I was locking the bathroom door, I was probably hiding something from him. And a couple of times he pretended to break up with me to see my reaction. When I cried he laughed at me and said he was glad I cared about him. What a mature 30-year-old man. I'm glad he is not a part of my life anymore. She tried to kick a pigeon and fell over. Man. I was such a dumbass. Too many warning signs. She used to disappear and not come home at night. Not answer her phone. Etc. Then she got pregnant and broke the news by telling me that she flushed her birth control. I respect a woman's right to choose. So now I have a lovely 12-year-old daughter. I still didn't leave. When my daughter was born, she started doing the same thing again. Drinking, screaming, etc. I broke up with her and we started sharing our daughter 1/2 and 1/2. A bit later I transferred to university and stupidly decided to give it one more shot. After living at uni with her and our daughter, I found out all of her trips back home were to have an affair. I was like, what the FCK? I am in college. Work 2 jobs. Take care of the baby. You know. So I noped out. I have had full-time custody of my daughter for 10 years. And her craziness gave me the best gift I have ever received. We dated for a few weeks and then the night came to get down. Since having sex doesn't happen often for me, I don't typically keep a condom in my wallet or on my person. She says she wants to FCK and I tell her I don't have a condom. To which she replies it's fine. Being the horny non-thinker I got to work. As I'm ready to come I start pulling out. She grabs my hips and pulls me back inside her and says in me. And of course, that being the hottest thing I've ever heard a woman say to me, I finish inside her. A few weeks go by and she tells me she's late and to be prepared to be a father. Not the most ideal situation, but I put myself in it. I'm going to see it through. Another 2 days go by and she's in tears. I ask what the matter was and she said she got her period. I looked confused and she yelled, I wanted to have a child with you and it didn't work and now we have to try again. I've never ghosted someone so fast in my life. When she legitimately got jealous of my cat. She was angry every day because I'd give the cat a big "Hey kitty" when I saw him, as opposed to the traditional human greeting she'd get. Took it as a sign that I liked the cat more than her and she later turned it into a me or the cat ultimatum. He's still an awesome cat. Asked me what we'd name our kids and how many we should have on our second date. Also, she was very manipulative and later I found out she already had 2 other boyfriends. Edit. My second comment on this thread. Met a guy at a club. We kissed and I gave him my number. Started feeling bad as the night progressed so went home. Ended up really sick with gastro. The one where you finally get to sleep only to wake up. Vomit. Wish for death then pass out again. It was a 24-hour bug in total. That time he had left 30 missed calls and messages on my phone. I did not arrange a date with him. Or call him back. I had only met him the night before. Literally minutes after asking me out he admitted that after he tried to sell an ounce of weed to some guys, they tried to rob him. He caught up to one and kidnapped him. He beat him. Threw him in the trunk. Drove him 10 miles out of the city. Beat him again. Stole his jacket and shoes. Smashed his phone. And left him there. In the middle of winter. So yeah. Didn't last. She said all my friends were murdered and I noped out. Push me to the edge. When he had sent hundreds of girls pictures of him. He went through the messages on my phone twice. Each time was after a fight because he knew I would have ranted to my friend about it. Then he tried starting a fight about what he read. Got harassed by him for 3 months after I ended it. Only stopped when I had to get a police officer to go tell him he's not to be anywhere near me anymore or contact me. Found out his first girlfriend got a restraining order against him for the same reasons. Especially frightening when you take into account we were only 17. I love my girlfriend more and more as I keep reading these comments. I had a girl request that we have sex outside. In the woods. We met online. Naturally. Anyway. We head out to a nice spot and do the deed. She begins sobbing after. I ask her if everything is alright. And she reassures me that it is. Then proceeds to tell me about how she was arped in the woods a couple years back while continuing to sob. Were you unknowingly part of some weird relive your trauma to deal with it therapy session? Her saying don't have sex with me. Trust me. And then saying stick it in. Stick it in. While we were fooling around. She ended up threatening to commit suicide when I broke up with her. It was f***ing rough. Nope nope nope. At one point during sex, he talked about wanting to kidnap and pay my niece. Got his ass kicked. Then kicked out. I was admitted to hospital after nearly having a heart attack. He texted me. Asked what I was up to. I told him I was in emergency care. That I had almost died. And I was extremely upset. It was 2 AM. He replied cool. Edit. Sorry for the confusing phrasing. By almost having a heart attack I meant I passed out. Got taken to the hospital for a cause. And they had to get potassium infused because it was extremely low, and I was informed there was over a 90% chance I'd have had a heart attack. And 50-ish% chance it would be fatal. Not technically a relationship. But first date. Dude spends the entire time talking about getting locked in a Polish hospital's psych after flying to Warsaw to visit his internet girlfriend. He then proceeded to tell me how much I look like her and how she changed her phone number, all social media accounts, and blocked him on everything. And how she was a crazy bitch for making him go to the hospital. Dude then abruptly changes topic and calls his friend living in residence to ask if he could borrow his room. I politely excused myself during that phone call and hailed a cab outside. When he started yelling at me and mocking me when I was having a panic attack, I had run downstairs to find a safe spot to calm down after the onset of the panic attack annoyed him. He followed me merely to upset me further. All the while I could barely breathe and was crying uncontrollably. Them going off on a waiter did it. Went and saw a movie with him and Jack the Giant Slayer, and he insisted that he hold my hand the entire FCKing time. I pulled my hand away for a minute because it was making me f-king uncomfortable. And he immediately snatched it again and held it like it was the golden f-king snitch during the final Quidditch match of the season. Got some very rappy vibes from him after that. If we're still dating in a year, I expect a ring. Over-deliver. Have a blast for 364 days and then give her a whole box of Cheerios. He kept hanging out at the Scientology church joint in town, but wouldn't tell me if he was a Scientologist or not. He said he was trying to get them to see things his way, which if I recall, was even weirder and creepier than the Scientologists. I still see him around quite a bit. Working in a bar in a small town sucks sometimes. I met her in a bar. She was cool. Always had great conversations. And she could hang. She had some major psychiatric issues that she didn't mention until a few months in. But I could see the red flags. She was on antidepressants for a few attempted suicides. So one day we're hanging out in her bedroom at her parents' house. She gets frustrated while studying and starts beating the shit out of the wall. Honestly, she ripped a section off the wall a 2x4 feet poster could barely hide. I stuck it out for another year until she had lost it on me about how selfish I am that we hang out with her family all day. But I won't stay for a 10 PM dinner. She dug her nails into my forearm. Enough to bleed. I got out of her car and walked home. Left her stuff for her stepdad to pick up. And never saw her again. I had a GF who kept trying to make deals with me to finish inside her. Like she would make me dinner and let me sleep in if I finished inside her with no condom. When I kept refusing, saying we were not ready, she started poking holes in the condoms. That's when I knew I was done. Not really a relationship, but a first date. I was 19 and a junior in college at the time. One of my TAs asked me out. I believe he was 3 years older than I. He picked me up at my apartment and I let him in while I finished getting ready. He started telling me how he could teach me so much about the world and life in general and how I had so much to learn. Blah. 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 Basically, he was saying I was his inferior but he'd be happy to teach me until I was more at his level. It was really a WTF moment. Why someone would think the way to a girl's heart was to disparage her intelligence and tell her how superior you were. I showed him to the door and locked it behind him. I was seriously waiting for him to FCK with my final grade. But he didn't. Which is good because I would have rained some shit down on his stupid head.